So Mr. Tig.
Eric.
Mr. Tig. First of all, a big thanks to John Paul for sending this stuff, including a couple other little goodies that were in the box. It's kind of funny. Oh, this was upside down.
And action.
It's kind of funny, and Tig will confirm this too. That when I popped open the box, when shortly before we started filming, I was like, "Holy crap!" I had just been reading about Final Girl, and I was like, I was like kind of interested in checking it out. So the timing is super awesome. For people who aren't aware, Final Girl is basically like a slasher movie.
Oh yeah, you're the final girl, just like those old 80s slasher movies where you're the final woman left. Yeah,
exactly. So you get the core box, which is you need the core box to play the game, and in addition to the core box, there are a series of these side box. I can't remember what they call them.
Is it a card game?
It's card and board, and like little pieces and stuff like that. So there's a whole series of like, basically, I guess you can call this a scenario. There's a whole series of scenarios that you can play through. So once I'm done playing through this one, there'll be other ones, if I like it, which I think I'm going to, there'll be other ones that I can explore, which is super cool. So thank you, John Paul. That is awesome.
Awesome.
That
He is a loss for words.
No, I have something in my eye.
Oh, he just has something in his eye.
No, that totally lands perfect for me, especially right now as I'm like very much into in solo board game mode, which is great. And the Under Falling Skies thing, very cool. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. So with that in mind,
boy.
I still got something in my eye.
There's something stuck in my eye.
Growing up. Board games growing up. What was your growing up experience with board games? Was it one of these things where like were your parents playing them with other parents? Were you playing them? What was your like board game growing up experience?
My grandma was huge into board games.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up playing board games and getting my ass kicked by my grandma because she refused to ever let us win, which is fine.
As it should be.
And we played a lot with my mom. My dad played along with us, but my mom was like into them as well. So I grew up playing, but we played Monopoly. Yahtzee was real popular. Parcheesi. You want me to just name all of them?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like what were they playing?
Othello.
Oh yeah, okay, with the black and white.
Yeah,
discs.
You flip them over. Backgammon. We played.
A lot of those very classic long-time games like Othello, Backgammon, Parcheesi. I'm familiar with them visually, but I've never played them and am not really familiar with how they work.
Parcheesi I should bring over one night because you'll actually like it because it's a great game for being able to chat but play. It's one of the oldest. I think it's one of the oldest board games. It's like an old from India.
It's an ancient one, right?
Yeah.
And with modern board games, there's been a long time move away from randomness in games, rightfully so, because with certain games like Sorry and things like that, and Trouble, where it's literally all random, you don't make decisions at all.
Right.
But some degree of randomness is fun. You and I on filming nights have been playing war games against one another. And these games involve both like strategy and like tactical thinking and decision making, but there's also like a random element involved.
Yeah, which makes it great.
Makes them fun. And for instance, like we're playing tonight and we played, show to people. This is what we've been playing against one another. I think maybe we might have done a video on that. I think we did. So anyway, back to your growing up experience with board games. Your grandma was like a super classic board game person.
Yeah, I guess because those were the games she played. So she and I wouldn't doubt that we played those because she was good at them.
Yeah,
she could kick our ass.
She liked to kick your ass.
Yeah.
I will say that I actually respect and support your grandma's philosophy there. My son and I played board games a lot when he was growing up. We used to have family board game night as well, where we all played, but him and I would play a lot of war games together. So we played Axis and Allies and Memoir 44 and Battle Lore and lots of stuff. And we started doing that at a pretty early age. He was pretty young, and I never let him win.
Yeah,
like it was. I kind of felt like, no, you'll get it. Like you'll.
That's how I was always that way with chess with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
When I taught them, I was like, You just have to beat me though, because
Yeah.
you're not going to learn a strategy if I'm
Yeah.
accidentally on purpose making mistakes.
So when he was younger, of course, I would consistently beat him. But as he will happily tell you, and this is completely true because I used to log all our battles. I have a sheet of like all that stuff, just because I like that kind of stuff. But over the years, he's like. He started beating me more often than I beat him until like our overall score for all of our years of playing is pretty much even.
Yeah.
And that includes all the early years of me beating him a lot,
caught up.
which means that he started beating me more often.
Did you play? Because there are two board games that I played that I loved, but only because I liked the boards.
As a kid, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I like boards. I think I've said to you once before, like one time I would love to buy old board game boards just to hang them all on the wall.
I love.
Yeah, like some of them are cool, but one of them was Life, of course.
Right.
Because the fact that it was 3D.
Yes.
Even though the game was terrible.
It's a bad game.
Yeah, it's real bad. I mean, as a kid, I was like, you felt like it was a great game, but it was actually a really terrible game.
I agree. As a kid, I really loved it, but for the same reason, like like putting the little pegs in the cars was great,
going over mountains and
super cool. But then I had repurchased the game because I don't have my original, but I got a game a version when my son was getting older, so I got it for family game night because I was like, oh, the game of life, perfect for family game night. But yeah, it turns out the game's terrible.
It's real bad.
There's just nothing to it. It's literally just move ahead this many spaces. And
maybe you get some money, maybe you lose money.
Yeah, there's no decisions, there's no strategy, there's nothing. It's not.
Yeah, it's all chance.
We ditched that one pretty early on. I will give us as a family some credit when we started doing family game night. We started off with those kind of like quote unquote classics that I grew up with. So Sorry and Life and
Trivial Pursuit. Did you play that?
Yeah, stuff like that. But then we pretty quickly started to adopt the more modern and I would say better games, stuff like Ticket to Ride and Kingdom Builder and stuff like that. So anyway, the other board.
The other one is weird. You're gonna
Fireball
think
Island.
No, it was because I think
that came later though.
I was gonna say by that time with our age, that was more. We were older by then.
Yeah.
It's a knockoff of Monopoly. It was the Mad Magazine Monopoly game.
Oh, okay.
If you see the board, especially because at the time I was really into Mad Magazine comics, for some reason I loved that game because it was so ridiculous, and even though it follows the Monopoly rules, everything is great. Everything you land on is absolutely insane. Doesn't make any sense. But again, that was more because of the board.
I totally get it. I'm a sucker for a great board, like a great, especially like if it's a map related board. And I have definitely, I've purchased games specifically because like I saw the map, I saw the board, and I was like, oh yeah, gotta have that.
Did you before you name the ones that you grew up playing with?
Okay.
Do you remember how crazy it got with when Trivia Pursuit came out?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be that'll be part of my growing up story.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because I remember that. I remember that blue box, and that's when the family, sometimes our aunts, uncles, people would come over, and it would be this event.
My parents used to have Trivial Pursuit nights with a few other couples.
Okay.
And it was like a weekly thing, and I was friends with the other couples' kids and stuff like that. So it was like a big thing where the adults would all get together and they would have their drinks or whatever the hell they were doing, and they would play Trivial Pursuit all night. And that's actually when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Because we were introduced to Dungeons and Dragons by one of my friends at the times. His father played it in the military in the 70s, like when it was
Satan,
when it was like very, very new. And so he introduced it to us. And so the adults would gather and they would play Trivial Pursuit all damn night, and we would play D&D. And that kind of that is one of the big things that got me into the whole idea of like board games. I think before that, the only thing that I really remember, I think my parents played cards a lot. I don't know what they were playing.
Yeah, there were some card games.
They played Uno, lots of Uno, which I'll defend Uno.
Right.
Uno's a fun night.
But hearts and things like that, I remember playing at my grandma.
Yeah, they would play stuff like that. I'm sure maybe they were playing poker. I don't really know. I don't know that they were like into like
gin and all that.
Yeah, definitely gin. Yeah, I think
Pinochle.
I don't remember.
My grandma was real into Pinochle, but never showed us how to play that because she probably wasn't any good at it.
Yeah, I don't know how to play that. I learned to play gin and gin rummy in my, I guess, late teens, early 20s. I used to have I'll just say that I used to have an unusual job that involved basically doing
Oh, you can just say
10 minutes of work, and then we were backstage for 50 minutes, and then 10 minutes of work.
And it involved guns.
That's true. Yeah, it did involve guns. And so we would play rummy, like, between sets and stuff like that.
Just to waste time.
Yeah. But
I want to say to you, so when you were playing D&D,
mm-hmm.
because for some reason I feel like I can visualize this. When you guys were playing D&D and your parents and stuff were playing at the table, were playing Trivia Pursuit,
mm-hmm.
were there those moments where as kids you would hope that game wasn't ending sometime soon?
Of course.
Because you guys were playing, so you would be like, I hope they're not going to win soon because we're not going to be able to finish this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like it's a very kid moment thing that you must have had a lot of times with your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we'd be doing our thing and we'd get the call upstairs like, "Oh, you ready?"
Yeah, and you're like, "Ah."
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have to send scouts up every once in a while to see if.
Yeah.
Oh, they only have 3 pies.
I remember having some of the old classic stuff as a kid, but I don't remember playing them a lot. Like things like Monopoly and all that. I always kind of felt like that Yahtzee was an adult game for some reason.
It was. I think the only reason we played was because of my grandma.
Yeah,
she insisted upon it, and I loved it because there is a lot of strategy.
I still like Yahtzee.
Yeah, there's. I mean, you can play by yourself basically.
Of all those old games, I think Yahtzee holds up well. It holds up well. It's still fun, and I'll even say this, and we will officially announce this on the channel at some point. But I actually have a game that I've designed that will be out relatively soon, and it is partially inspired by Yahtzee. I'll say this: imagine Yahtzee, but you're exploring a dungeon and playing Yahtzee.
D&D Yahtzee.
So that will be out relatively soon, and we'll announce that. I'm actually pretty excited about that because
we're all excited.
I think it's coming along pretty well. So one of 2 board game designs that I've been working on this year, both of which I hope to have out before the end of the year. Though the other one is a little there's a little more involved. That one involves a whole board and
it takes a little bit longer.
So anyway, Yahtzee was another one that my parents played a lot with, couples would get together. So from an early age, I was used to that idea of board game night, right? Because the adults got together and they played board games and the kids would as well. I think when I finally got big into my own board games, that's when I got into like Axis and Allies.
Right, yeah, the strategy games.
Yeah, myself and the circle of friends that I was in, there was a Milton Bradley at the time had a series called the Game Master series. And so Axis and Allies was part of that. There was Fortress America, which was basically Red Dawn, the game.
Okay.
It was like the United States is getting invaded by the Russians and the Cubans and the Chinese, and you have to defend against that. Conquest of the Empire, which is an ancient Roman war game. Really cool. Have that upstairs, the new modern version. One called, at the time it was called Shogun, which was pretty cool. It was, conquering Japan and all that. It was re-released a little later as Samurai Swords, and then a little even later after that, I don't remember what the third name of it was. And then there was one called, what was it? Broadsides and Boarding Parties. That was the last one in the line, and that was a pirate game.
Oh, that's cool. That makes sense for the name then.
The game looks, it wasn't a very good game, but it looks insane because on either side of the board you actually have these giant plastic pirate ships.
Oh, that's cool.
With all like your pirate figures that are on the ships. The middle of the board is this sort of map of these seas, and you have this weird system of how your ships are moving around, and your ships kind of move around and you fire at one another, and then eventually if you get the ships side by side, that's when one ship boards the other, and that's when you fight.
That's cool, though.
You fight on the big plastic ships. One thing that is neat with these big plastic pirate ships, and they have these big masts and stuff like that, which are in multiple pieces. So as you're firing at one another, you can be blasting the masts.
Oh, and you take them off,
so I guess? You take the pieces off
that's cool.
To slowly bust up the other guy's ship. But that one it actually wasn't a very good game.
Ah.
The others, I have mixed feelings about Fortress America. Some people really like it. they like it enough so that it was re-released a few years back with some upgrades that some people really enjoyed. But I always kind of felt like the balance in that game wasn't very good. Never really had a lot of fun with that. Shogun was really good, and unfortunately, this was in the middle of the 80s when like Ninja Mania was upon all of us. So we only played it a couple of times and then ended up just basically taking all the pieces and using it for like our own stuff. Really liked Conquest of the Empire a lot. That was a favorite. That was the Roman one. Really great pieces, really good rules, a lot of fun. We enjoyed that one.
Who did you play with when you played those?
Oh, we just had like a circle of friends in the town that we grew up. Yeah, we there was probably maybe 4 or 5 of us that would regularly play. But our big one was Axis and Allies, obviously.
It's funny because I never grew up playing any board games with my friends. It was always family.
Yeah?
Yeah, like none of them played. It was just if the power went out or there was a thunderstorm or you were stuck inside in the summer, my mom would just be like, you want to play? Let's play Categories, Pictionary, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, we didn't play as a family. My parents played with other couples, but we didn't play as a family. But then, yeah, but us as friends, we all started to play a lot.
Like, would a friend bring
together.
those games over? How did you guys get them? Like, how did you find those games?
I don't remember.
It's like weird to think that.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't remember.
Were they older games that maybe your dad or somebody like?
No. They were games that were coming out at the time, like that Milton Bradley series that I mentioned, the Game Master series, which is where we were playing a lot of the games from that series. They were coming out at that time.
Oh, so somebody was just either bringing them over, I guess, kind of thing. Like a friend would be just pop up and be like,
and each of us had a couple that I had a couple, and then another friend had a couple, and another friend had a couple. So between us, we had like a good selection. So it would, like one would just bring it over, and we would go back and forth between everyone's houses. Like sometimes we played at my place, sometimes we played at another friend's. So yeah, it was we were just bouncing around between one another's houses with the various games.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's actually very similar to the way board game groups as adults operate now. Yeah. It's like everyone has their own games, and maybe you're playing at various people's houses, and so-and-so has Catan, but I have Carcassonne, and I've got they've got Ticket to Ride, and
gonna happen eventually.
And that kind of thing. Just like you've got some board games that
I still got that one.
I don't have.
Well, 2 I gotta bring. Now I gotta bring Parcheesi over for a night.
I actually kind of want to play Othello at some point.
Othello, I remember being fun.
Yeah.
I liked backgammon, but Othello was more fun than backgammon.
I never cared for checkers. I like chess. I really enjoy chess a lot.
Checkers is boring.
I have a fairly nice chess set, like not like super nice, but very nice, like a nice good sized wood board and nice pieces and all that. Growing up, we had a handmade metal chess set, handmade in Iran.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
when I was at the
yeah.
It was round,
beautiful Persian steel.
Yeah, really cool,
gorgeous set.
We had a wooden one, same thing. It was wooden, and it all the pieces fit in the box.
Oh right,
and then it would fold up and it had like a metal latch, so all the pieces went in these metal straps.
Yeah,
and when you opened
too.
it, so then it sat. So it was nice because it always sat up super high. Off the table when you would play. All wooden and stuff. I remember that Iranian. I don't remember the pieces, but I remember the board. Yeah,
the pieces were neat too, unfortunately, and that set still exists. But it's missing one piece.
Oh my!
I don't remember exactly. I think it's a pawn, maybe, but I don't remember. The pawn's not too big of a deal. I might be wrong about what it is, but who
got that?
But it's I don't have it. My brother has it.
We should steal it. We should go over there and steal it.
Unfortunately, like it's literally an irreplaceable piece because it's a one of a kind.
Yeah, where do you
one of a kind? And I've searched. I multiple times I've searched online hoping to find something that was at least somewhat close. To get a replacement piece, and it's just not.
We should.
We should make
it.
I might be able,
especially if it's a pawn.
If I could find out what the missing piece is, maybe what I'll do is he listens to the show, so he'll know this.
Oh.
But if I can find out what the missing piece is, I can have it scanned and have it 3D printed, and then just at least paint it the same color.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you could
Though those were real. Those are metal pieces. You could kill someone with those things.
Your friend that has the lathe.
Oh yeah, I guess
could machine it if it's a pawn.
That's true. Yeah,
Just
maybe
make it out of whatever. I don't know what metal it was made of, but make it out of aluminum if you wanted to.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. So. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were gonna say?
I was just gonna say. Did you obviously just because I got to bring it up because it was a kid staple, but no one played it? Is Mousetrap?
Yeah, no, that was always one where I was fascinated to see it on TV.
Yeah, and to build it.
Yeah, I think one of my friends had it, but yeah, it wasn't.
Nobody played that game.
Yeah, it wasn't a game that actually got played. We did do. There's another one that has kind of like the raised 3D parts, sort of like the Game of Life, but it wasn't that. And I can't remember what it is now.
It was the same style.
Sort of similar, yeah. I can't remember what.
Do you remember
we did have Fireball Island? My younger brother
I do remember
had that.
Fireball Island. That was a good game.
You know what? Also, and I don't know how well it holds up, but I remember liking it when we were young. And I actually have a Lord of the Rings version upstairs now. Is a Stratego.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I was literally just going to ask if you remember playing Stratego.
Yeah.
Because that had cool pieces too.
Yeah, they were just.
Didn't they have like the ones that stood up or whatever?
No, they were like they look sort of like little gravestones with the.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they were like rectangles.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing was like
it was
like a hidden movement thing.
Yeah.
It was sort of like the Battleship thing where you didn't know what the pieces are that you're moving against.
I remember
Some
playing that with
bombs,
friends.
I think, right?
Yeah.
That
was one of the only games I played with a friend because it was his game. I still remember sitting on his floor. Playing that game with him at his house.
I will say this. I got and because a couple of years back you brought me into a board game group that you were part of, and you guys played a lot of like current stuff, but like more, I guess maybe party stuff is the proper way to say it. Like,
yeah, we were doing Risk first for a while with our own rules.
But
then Munchkin, and then we also did
Cards Against Humanity. Catan, you did some
Catan,
stuff like that. So, but recently. Now, and so for folks who don't know, on our filming nights are also board game nights for Tig and I, and sometimes for some guests when some guests roll in, we play board games. And recently, we have been playing strategy board games against one another, war games,
which I never played until
and I'm actually like delighted and impressed at how quickly you took to
I'm
them.
a very quick study.
Absolutely, like it's been. I wasn't sure to what extent you would like them because I know like they're not
I didn't grow up
playing
them. Yeah, and even on like you said on my game nights with the other group, me and a friend always wanted to.
Yeah,
but we just never.
Yeah,
it wasn't the group to do it with.
And I didn't want to because I think when we started, I think it was with Battlelore, right? I think I introduced you to Battlelore first.
I think so, right? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it had to be. Yeah,
and which is a lot to like wrap your head around if you haven't really played games like that before. And I played by your grandmother's philosophy. I was like, no, I'm just gonna go
because that's how you learn.
Yeah. And I did worry a little bit, like, okay, if I like kick his ass a couple of times, is he gonna...
Nobody could ever match my grandmother's wrath of. There was no pity. So yeah, that's okay.
Though actually, now that I think about it, though, we slightly dipped our toes into playing games like that together once previously when we play tested Tactical Tech, because that was a strategy that's a strategy science fiction game. Remember that with the robots? We got the maze and the robots. And the rooms churning and switching and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we have a video in our board game playlist about that. Oh, sounds like pizza's here.
Food's here.
Yeah, food's here. That's the end of the episode, folks. Bye.